Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
I have endured eons in a Xenos prison because of my duty. I have slain a fellow sister when she became corrupted by Xenos filth. I have seen idolaters profane themselves before a false saint while their planet ruptured around them. My force is mobile. My will is sure. My cause is noble. My power is pure. In the Emperor's name, I will not fail.
Kenny Boucher here, The Long War. Joined tonight by my partners in crime, Wyatt Turk and our boy Demeki from Dice Check. How's it going, guys?
Yo, what's up?
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen you guys.
Yeah, man, I feel like it's been days.
I haven't like Kenny withdrawals. Like, can't sleep without you cuddling with me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough, dude.
Yeah, I was kind of.
Y'all were cuddling?
Yeah, of course.
Zach didn't cuddle with me.
I was disappointed by the king size bed. It just seemed unnecessary.
I know.
Like, this void in betwine us. This might as well.
What was it like day 2? You like, I just wake up to Kenny being like, "Yo, dog, wake up!" And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, you're way too close to me right
I was like, "Do you want a nice, maybe a good morning back rub?" You were like, "Get the fuck off me!"
Nope.
So we don't have Rob with us tonight, but he did pre-record his news segment, so we will have some professionalism associated with tonight's podcast. But we do have 3 out of our 5 teammates here on this episode, which was an unscheduled debut or unscheduled appearance by Demeki. He noticed that we were flagging and there were just me and Wyatt, and he jumped right in. And now we can actually have a show. So we're going to be able to go hard on the Las Vegas team tournament that we all just came back from without Rob nitpicking us, telling us news and shaking his papers at us and shit, doing all this grown-up shit.
Telling us more about Titanicus and stuff.
I don't even think he talks about that game anymore. It's dead.
I don't even know. Is that a game? I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen it.
I don't think he's willing to admit it, but I think it's actually dead to him now because of Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
You know, rip Titanicus. You lost your last player, Rob Baer. But before we do all that stuff, because we should have a pretty girthy episode tonight, and I was actually kind of nervous because, like, how are we going to do a Would You Rather with just me?
I don't know. It was, yeah, it would have been weird.
It's about to get weird, but we have Demeki, so this is going to be great. So let's kick it over to Wyatt. He's going to roll out to the Cave of Wonders. Touch nothing but the lamp.
Yep. Would you rather get free gasoline for life, but have to drive 15 miles under the speed limit, or pay 3 times as much for gas, but speed limits do not apply to you?
Ooh.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was too, because I mean, like, so your gas prices are not my gas prices, which are not the gas prices in Michigan or somewhere else, right? So this is like, sometimes I like these for the audience as well, because it's like, ooh,
I'm taking free gas, bro. Like, I mean, it's brutal out here, homie. The savings.
I'm going to take the no speed limit because I lived in Germany for 4 years and not having a speed limit on the Autobahn was freeing. It was very
three times your already ridiculous gas prices.
But I'm getting to where I need to go 3 times faster.
Yeah, but like you're also burning through that figure 3 times faster. I think it's gonna. I don't think you're ever gonna financially recover from this. Would you rather, bro? Like I think this is.
Yeah, I guess.
I think this might bankrupt you.
That's true.
I'm not trying to. Thing is, it is vastly inconvenient. Like, so like there's no matter where I am geographically, a magical free gas station exists 15 miles away from me, and I have to drive how much under the speed limit?
15 miles under the speed limit.
15 out of the speed limit. I mean, I'm basically fine with that.
I'm just going to hustle harder. That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm just going to have to hustle a little bit harder. Because, yeah, I think I would much rather want to speed.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's going to be hard, but
I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat talk about electric vehicles, and I will warn you, you cannot game this.
Yeah.
Can't game it. The same math applies, right? Like if you drive an EV, then like magically all of this, applies to you as well. You can't game it.
I already thought about Ubers and stuff, and I already know the answer. I already know the first minute. I'm like, well, I'm going to drive to the airport in this Uber. It's going to be 3 times the Uber cost, like magically on my bill.
But I'm going to get there 3 times faster.
Or if you find a loophole, the genie is just going to make you like vomit spiders or some other.
Demeki's going to be like, well, I'm going to drive 3 times faster. The fucking speed limit doesn't apply to me. I'm driving to airport traffic. So there's going to be a monkey paw scenario here.
Yeah. All I can picture you now is like driving down the road and you're that old person that's doing 15 under and everybody's pissed off because they want to get around you. But there's also like a semi truck in the other lane. So they can't get around you.
That's interesting. PB's almost gamed it, I think. He said, free gas for life, move to Germany. Drive on the Autobahn. So a magical speed limit will appear, just so you understand.
Yeah.
Like this is magic. So I'm exchanging my time for cost savings. And the reason I choose it is because I don't drive that much.
I drive a lot.
So I'd rather, and he chose his because he drives a lot.
I was literally in LA yesterday.
And you drove to Vegas and back.
Yeah. Like I drove to LA, to Vegas to LA, back to San Diego. Then yesterday for work, I had to drive back to LA and then come back.
Oof.
Yeah.
Do a lot of driving.
Yeah. Fuck, that's a lot of driving. You gotta get out of that. Oh, maybe it's your future retirement plan. Is you have to plan for where you're gonna be one day with free gas. Yeah. That's
true. We've been talking about that too, but that's still a long ways off. See, I did try to make something out of the trip though. Like I went to the Warhammer Cafe. I actually got to go inside this time. That was impressive. Yeah. They had a lot of Forge World stuff, but guess what they didn't have that I was looking for? Twin Volkite arms.
Nah. Those are sold out everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
So this might game it real quick. What if Demeki gives me a ride to a tournament and I buy gas? Like,
is that how we get around it?
Is the intent that you're trying to game this?
Well, the intent is that a lot of people drive me to tournaments and I buy gas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm trying to game this, yes.
Yeah.
I can't lie to the gin.
Can't lie to the gin.
Because he knows intent. He knows if you've been bad or good.
So genie's like the Watcher, dude. He always sees you. He knows.
Except he'll fuck you, where the Watcher just stand there.
So if Kenny's driving and I buy the gas, then Kenny gets unlimited mileage. And then
that part doesn't work because I'm not physically allowed to drive by 15 under the speed limit, and you pay 3 times as much for gas. That's the worst combination. That shit is like stupids.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
He'll let you play yourself, no doubt. That's the worst one. We don't do that one. Okay. Good one, Wyatt. So let's move over to the Memorial News Desk with Rob Baer on this pre-recorded segment that none of us have listened to, so we have no idea what he's going to say. I do apologize in advance for Rob.
Greetings, fellow humans. This is the Rob of the past speaking to the people of the future. I have news. So Games Workshop has more pre-releases for this week. This time they're kicking over to Aeronautica Imperialis, which, is kind of a mixed bag. Some people play it, some people don't. I personally never seen anybody playing it, so I don't know. Maybe there's a secret underground community playing AI next to all those folks out there playing Adeptus Titanicus as well, all 4 to 5 of us. Supposedly. So the new box set or core game is coming out. That's $90 US. And then all the individual squadrons are coming out as well. Don't know exactly if they have the same amount of models in there that comes in the starter We'll probably do a value breakdown on it, but not exactly sure at this point because we haven't seen, I don't think, the actual sprue configuration, although we'll have to check on that. But all the individual boxes, the Eldar Nightwing Squadron, the Bomber Squadron, they're all $42. The Xiphons for Space Marines and the Storm Eagles are also $42 each. Then they have the board for $42, which is literally cardboard cutouts with hex marks on them. Very similar, but not quite as small as the ones that come in Warhammer Underworlds. Those are $42 as well. And then the card packs are $35. The dice are $18 for both the Eldar and Astartes versions therein. There's also a Necromunda Vansar weapon upgrade pack coming out for $25, which is just basically 2 upgrade sprues to kind of equip your Vansar models with some different things. So we've been seeing that a couple of weeks now with let's see, it was a Goliath and then Eschers, and I think there's been another one since. So it's cool that they're still putting stuff out for Necromunda when they haven't really come out with a kit in a couple of weeks now, but we know there's definitely more on the way too. From their web store, you can get the Twice Dead King Ruin special edition for $65, Black Library book. And then the Aeronautical Imperialis Orc and Imperial Ground Asset box for $40. Remember, that's a web exclusive, although you can special order it through your local game store, but it will take a little bit longer to get in. It won't come out the same week because you're not ordering it from GW or ordering it from GW to go to a GW store, unfortunately. On the retail side of the GW news cycle, I guess you could say, it's rumored that their new distribution and warehouse facility in Memphis, the expansion will be coming online. You might remember that they added on an extra 50,000 square feet, and they started it back in, I think, January of 2019. With all that, it looks like it's finally starting to come to completion. Remember, this isn't a complete warehouse build. This is just an expansion. They're also putting in an automated system of picker robots, which I like to think of a bunch of Roombas, carrying around GW orders and getting them to the picking or to the packing and fulfillment side of things so that they can go out to stores. So hopefully, assuming they can actually get the product off the boats and into the warehouse, we won't see as many slowdowns actually getting stuff out to stores, which is a plus. But as I spoke with one industry insider this week, as they were sourcing some cargo containers for their Kickstarter coming out of China, he told me that containers have gone from $1,500 for a full container to $20,000 currently. And you can get some deals apparently for like halvesy container, but that's still $8,000, which right off the bat is almost 4x what the stuff was when the Kickstarter fulfilled back in the day. So it's not getting any easier out there for sure for fulfillment, and especially for companies that do 100% fulfillment from China. We're seeing huge delays. You've seen it at AMG. Dust 1947 just announced that they're basically closing because of the COVID fallout, the sourcing products, to just getting stuff in general. And they're probably not the last company to fold after all this has happened, unfortunately. So it's a bad time out there for a lot of different people. Also, on that same vein of things, Asmodee announced pretty much price increases on everything except for Marvel Crisis Protocol, which I'm sure at some point will go up as well, because just those same things, getting all their production is in China, getting across the ocean, getting it in the stores. That's why you're seeing stuff available in different countries and different regions, because they don't care. Like, they're not GW. They're not doing global releases all simultaneously, all at once. They don't care about that level of control. They're just trying to get some revenue in the door, which for a lot of companies, I completely understand. So yeah, I get it. Like, it's crazy out there, y'all. So, vote with your hobby dollars now more than ever, for sure. We saw a couple of reveals from GW2. Black Templar's obviously so hot right now, just like Hansel. We know that there's Black Templar Marshal coming. We've seen the sprues for him. We knew he was in the box. The sprues look very cool. Looks like he's going to have a couple different hand weapons, an axe, and also a sword, as well as a plasma pistol and a combi flamer as well. So if you want to pose him like the old school looking commander or marshal that came in the old special edition, 3rd edition Warhammer 40K box, you can. He doesn't come with a helmeted head, but that's all right. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some helmeted heads that come in the box that you're probably going to use as well. So very cool looking miniature for sure. And of course, we saw Grimaldus once again based on some iconic Martin Gibbons artwork. We know there's rumored an Ancient on the way as well for Black Templars. He's probably going to look like some of the art. There is in the background of that Grimaldus picture another Ancient or a Standard Bearer that isn't quite what was revealed for coming with Grimaldus. So chances are we're going to see something like that. Or if you remember that iconic Kev Walker art piece from around the same era, actually, that where it's basically a Black Templar kind of standing with his gun out. He's taking a lot of battle damage and, he's obviously blasting, but the standard is resting against his shoulder because half of his arm is tore off. It's a very iconic piece of art. You probably remember it by that description. And if we see something like that, that would be awesome as well. But I don't exactly know. It's obviously a firstborn Marine, but they don't even exist anymore. Who are we kidding? But hopefully we'll see more on that very soon. So it looks like the Black Templar release after the Army box, it's rumored to be coming in November, will be very, very cool looking for sure. So all that is on the table for very soon. Frontline Gaming just announced that their New Orleans Open tickets have gone on sale. That will be from December 10th to December 12th, 2021. So kind of conveniently before the holidays, a nice location down in New Orleans, and it's at the Sheraton Hotel. It looks pretty dope, to be quite honest. So if you play any of the major games out there, you might want to stop by, get in that one, and get in your ITC points, because I'm not an ITC-ologist, but I think the season ends before Vegas LVO is like the last one. So this might be the last technically big major you could get in on, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense, because SoCal Open is very soon, and then there'll be that one. So I imagine a lot of players will be at that, and it'll definitely be worth checking out if you live in the South. There was this really cool animation. I don't know if it's still up on YouTube. I hope it is. It's called Dreadfall. And as you can imagine, it is about a dreadnought coming out of the sky and wrecking some fools. It is an awesome animation. I loved watching it because if you remember the old Dawn of War trailer for that video game way back in the early 2000s, where the Dreadnought just cycles up his autocannon or his assault cannon and just goes to town on some orcs, there's also a very similar scene in there that they'll definitely get you a little excited if you're into that sort of thing. Very, very cool animation. I obviously wish the best for the artist, and maybe GW will hire him, and we'll get even more Warhammer Plus stuff eventually. Speaking of Warhammer Plus, apparently they're taking a mid-season break after 4 weeks. No new animations. Kind of interesting. The whole thing was very much advertised as, hey, we got animations. It's like Arby's being out of the meat. Where's the meats? Where's the meats, GW? What's going on? I don't know. But it doesn't seem like it is keeping a lot of value these days, for sure. So I hope Games Workshop can get the wheels back on this platform, because if I was to vote with my hobby dollars, well, I already did. They don't have it. It's great to support the artists. It's great that they're putting that content out there, but they keep going back and rewriting the narrative, going back, re-editing their posts after editorials from certain individuals in this community. Kind of convenient how that only happens 12 to 16 hours later, and they go back and they change their posts with no notification, no oversight, no editor's notes, no nothing. Change the graphics, everything. They're just rewriting the narrative whenever they make a mistake. It's like changing history sometimes. I don't know. I wish I could do it, but I can't, because that's basically lying to your audience. So there is that. I don't want to be too negative about it, but it just seems kind of scummy right off the top of the hand. I'm going to say a lot more things about it in another video, hopefully, if I have time this weekend. Very, very busy. Obviously, I'm not live on the podcast. I don't know if you figured that out. It's really great because Kenny can't troll me, although he's probably going to edit this part out, but we'll definitely see. Some other great trolling. The Tiger King will return in November. So the show that got a lot of us through the lockdown, well, it's coming back. I don't know what they can possibly talk about anymore, but maybe we'll get some live updates and things like that. It'll be interesting to check in on maybe Carol Baskin as being investigated. Who knows? I don't even know. There's a lot going on in Florida right now. A lot of things always going on in Florida. On the retail side of things, a couple of companies have some big Orktober plans. Cromlech's unveiling a lot actually on, tomorrow, October 1st. They will have their mega super big stompy thing on sale. I think there's only 100 copies of this thing, and it's basically a Stompa, a great alternative miniature. It looks pretty dope, and they got a whole bunch of other things going on, t-shirts, the whole nine, lots of stuff going on over there. If you're a Xenos player, specifically Orcs, a lot going on, but there's also going to be some sales this month. So, even if you don't play Xenos, there's going to be some stuff for you eventually over there. So keep checking back over at bitsofwar.com. That's the actual Cromlech store. Pop Goes the Monkey will also be unveiling some new Orktober miniatures, inspired by, kind of crossed over with the whole Oktoberfest. So they're going to be a little beer themed and stuff like that. So that's going to be cool to see. Kenny will be showcasing some of that over on his stream, and there will be stickers all over the place. If you do an order on Pop Goes the Monkey, or, if you happen to order something on Monkey Resin, chances are you're going to get one of these really cool Orktober stickers as well. On the entertainment side, speaking of Tiger King, it looks like Law and Order has been brought back. The original Law and Order was canceled in 2010, just 1 year short of the primetime scripted, I guess technically non-animated record, because the current primetime longest running show is The Simpsons, with 31 years of being on air, which is technically scripted. But Gunsmoke, believe it or not, ran for 20 years, last aired in 1975. Fortunately, they kept Law and Order SVU around, and after the 2018 season, it surpassed the 20-year mark. But now, regular Law and Order is going to have its chance to come back and surpass the 20-year mark as well, with a new season that's going to be very, very soon. So there's about to be 3 Law and Orders. I'm not a Law and Orderologist, but I've pretty much seen them all, and I really like that show. So hopefully you guys watch it too and also enjoy it. So that is pretty much all we got for Tabletop Market Watch. I did want to start a new segment about Marvel Crisis Protocol, since there isn't much to talk about for Titanicus these days, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of stuff together, and they're actually changing a lot with Marvel Crisis Protocol. So we're gonna give them a pass this week, because there hasn't been a whole lot of previews on the Marvel Crisis Protocol side of things, unfortunately, but lots down the road for sure. They're actually changing up a lot of mechanics for the game. But I wanted to talk about some of the stuff I had played and what I like and what I found works for me in the game, and maybe that will help you out too. But we'll revisit that hopefully when I'm actually back on the show next week. So that's it for this one. See you guys on the flip.
Good talk, Rob. Amazing stuff. Super interesting.
Yeah.
Let's kick it over.
Can't do that every week, dude.
Yeah.
Without listening to it, I'm going to be like, Rob, good job. Love your Crisis Protocol segment. It was really thorough. Wyatt, you want to walk us down what happened last weekend?
Yeah, we were at the Las Vegas team tournament. Probably the most competitive event that happened worldwide last weekend, considering the amount of talent that was in that room. And we had a lot of fun. How'd you guys like it?
I loved it. I mean, this is my second tournament. I got to hang out with all y'all, which is always a plus. And got to play Warhammer again. Yeah, I met a lot of new people. Kenny introduced me to some people. I introduced myself to some people. Yeah, I had a great time. Can't wait to do it again.
Team tournaments are so fun. I don't really need an excuse to have fun in Warhammer 40K, but tournaments are like kind of the goal, so the end game. So coming back to the scene, was just, God, so much fun. Like just seeing everybody, just playing our games, socializing, utter pure pleasure. It's amazing.
Yep. Going to give some shout outs to some of our people. Got a Rising Tide Gaming, coolest jerseys in all of 40K. They were there. Boys from Michigan. Got to meet a bunch of people from Army Esports team. They were there. Art War was there. Sean Naden, Battle Brothers. We were kicking it with them for a little bit. Jim Vessel was there. Hadn't seen him in a hot minute. That was a lot of cool things. Our Chaos Guru, Don Husin, and the Smite Club boys were there. And they did quite well, so congrats to them. What about you guys? See any homies you haven't seen in a long time?
You? I haven't seen you and Mike Hasbro in like fucking 18 months.
Yeah.
I see Demeki all the time, though.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, comparatively. Like.
Yeah. Well, it's because we're so close to each other, you know?
Yeah. I've seen Demeki like twice. Maybe 3 times, but like comparatively, you know. Yeah, I mean, everyone. Like literally Thomas Bird, you know, like someone I introduced Demeki to, you know, like love that guy, you know. All the, you know, Don Husin, you mentioned him, you know, like Sean Naden, like just tons of people who, you know, watch the Twitch show, things like that. Even a student from my Patreon page. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of people there. That was the first time somebody ever asked for our autograph. That was pretty cool.
That was cool. It was also very weird to sign my own face.
Yeah.
But also cool.
Objectives.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because like a guy showed up with it, like he had it with him, and then we signed. I signed one for Kenny too. But yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, we had we signed 2 Demeki face pugs.
Yes, I did.
Only one had a penis drawn on it.
Yeah, that was the best one.
That's obviously superior.
Man, so last week we were kind of having like a pregame. Demeki and Zach were here. Haspel was waiting until the last minute painting stuff as he does. So how'd you guys do? Like, how'd you end up at the tournament?
I went 3-3, which was great for me because this being my second tournament, you know, I went 0-5, the last team tournament that we went to. And, you know, I was piloting Kenny's list. So I felt like I was doing the list disservice at that time, but like, yeah, this time, I came back with a vengeance.
You did. You were our linchpin in all 3 of our wins. So it's like, could not have done it without you, dude. Like, great job showing up to such a event of heavy hitters.
I mean, and it's so funny because we went into after hours. We talked about chess clocks for like a solid 15 minutes. Good conversation. Definitely, you guys want to check out the after hours to hear that. So the callback to that is that me and Wyatt finish our games quick, right? Nature of the armies we play, nature of our experience, nature of a lot of things, right? So we're done with like an hour minimum.
Dude, I think my personal best is 15 minutes.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's
I was speedrunning that shit.
Speedrun. Solid speedrun numbers. And so we're sitting there, typically, we both won, and we need one of our other 3 guys to win. And so they're finishing their games for an hour. We went 3-3 as a team, which is huge because that's not a losing record, right? Feeling good about that. That was Demeki. He went 3-3. You see? Like...
And then even when our guys lost, they were scoring relatively well. I think there was a couple of games where they got kind of...
Which helped us push up our advancement.
Yeah, we got in the top 25. Like,
finished 22nd out of 58, which is huge. Like top half. Didn't lose more than we want. Like 500 records. So, yeah, man. Fucking incredible. Like, so it's a good callback, I think, to like that, like that feeling. I think even... You probably could comment to that point where it's like, did you ever feel like, shit, these guys are already done? Did you ever feel any kind of pressure?
Nah, actually, like that was kind of the funny thing. I kind of liked being wedged in between you two because, like, I was kind of like, as I was waiting for my opponents to do whatever it is that they were doing, I was kind of like looking to see how the guys were doing. And y'all were already done, and I'm like, well, that must have meant that they won. And then I kind of like look over and see if like, you know, how Mike's expressions are and how Zach's expressions are going, and kind of like look at their table and be like, maybe like what it did was it relieved more pressure off of me. Right. Because knowing that you and Wyatt were done already probably meant that y'all won your match. And then, so like, I didn't feel as much pressure because there was still 3 more of us. Right. And I could kind of like look over and see like, all right, well, Zach's penitent engines are all there, and he looks like he's comfortable. Like he doesn't look like he's in distress or anything. So maybe he's probably going to pull it out. And then like my game's going pretty well. The like every single one of my games on day one were close, and I've made some small mistakes that cost me those games by like between 5 to 10 points or even 4 to 10 points, right? So like I said in the pre-show, like I went back to the room, thought about what I did wrong on day one, and said, well, I'm going to do this instead on day two, which ended up working out and got me those 3 wins on day two. But
incredible.
But like I never felt like, because I'd been in matches before where I felt like there's no way I'm winning this, right? Like from the rip, like I screwed up on deployment, right? Because you can lose at the deployment phase, and I didn't have that feeling at all during this tournament.
Good. Yeah,
that's like great growth.
Your experience now.
3-3. Your second tournament ever. Both of those tournaments being majors. There's 280 people playing this weekend. 58 teams. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I went 6-0, which I posted everywhere on the internet. So I imagine most of them listeners know. Like, pretty fucking proud of it. Like,
toot that horn, dude.
I was. It felt good because I haven't had. My first game of 9th edition was actually on the Dice Check platform. That was fucking. I'm so happy to have we all vaccinated. We're in the fucking studio, and so I felt like this is how it should be. My first game of 9th edition should be live on a camera because like I live behind cameras and doing things on the internet, 40K related. So I was like, this is the perfect return, right? I then played a little Road Trader tournament with. Back to your point where you said I went 0-5 and I played Kenny's list. And I feel like I did a disservice. No. Like you guys gave me some real ass feedback and I made changes and tested some of those changes out. Didn't like some changes, but kept other changes. Modified it further because I didn't do good at my Road Trader tournament. You guys remember I went 2 losses and a tie, right? But I spoke to what I learned from it. So then I took elements of the list you lost with and elements of the fixes that you guys pitched me and put it together based on information. So I don't think the list was right, period. Like what you did was you actually gave me some really important information, even though I wasn't able to play and you stepped up to the plate last minute, literally, to play my crazy ass list. So those data points are what led me to this version of the list that I won 6-0 with.
Yeah, because even I kind of questioned one thing that you did, which was the foul blight spawn with the stench vats.
So I read
you took it out. And when I played Death Guard, I played the Death Guard list there, and yeah, it was a non-factor anyways. Like during that match, because I already knew what it did, so I was just like, I'm not going to even engage it. Like, why? I'll just shoot it off instead.
A lot of people did, I will say, hilariously, more than once got questioned for my choice of the Defilers, and like no one was like shitty. They're like, Defilers? Like, what am I missing here? People are like, no foul blight spawn at all? Really? Are you sure, Kenny? I got a lot of that. But then as I continued to clap throughout the tournament, people were like, yo, maybe I need to buy Defilers. Like shit like that. Even like, Death Guard Facebook groups were like, what the fuck is going on here? And again, in the pregame show, I did go into a lot of detail on the numbers of those and why I chose them. So if you want to get that like baseball statistic version of like my thought process, that is in the After Hours show. But I will say the Defilers performed exactly as I hoped they would. They did the role they needed to do. My lack of a fight less aura was utterly irrelevant. Did not fucking matter. And I won all my fucking games. Mortarion, again, a questionable choice in the current meta. People like to run death routes. He was awesome. He died one fucking time, and that was fine. And he did exactly what he needed to do, and he clapped ass all fucking weekend long. Fucking Playburst Crawlers. Goddamn Anchor. Whew. And all my little cultists. People are like, cultists, why not Poxwalkers? Derek knows why.
Yeah, because they can't perform an action besides the Death Guard.
Sickness.
Yeah. So
fuck that. Secondary.
Yeah. And I mean, that was the same reason, because we were talking about this. I was like, I showed you like what I thought I was going to bring to probably SoCal for Death Guard. And like, I even took out Morty in my list. I have like probably 2 big units of Death Shroud Terminators, 3 PBCs, a Demon Prince, and a Malignant Playcaster. And then like, I think I have like 40 Poxwalkers. So, and then like 5 cultists.
Mm-hmm. Got
At this
it.
point, I think the only way I would run Poxwalkers with Death Guard is if you're actually doing the Terminus Est Army of Renown.
That makes sense. Now, a lot of people online did say, I hope we get a dope recap on the podcast, which we are going to do a recap for sure, which is what we are currently in the process of doing. So I will tell you guys, I played 6 games. Wyatt was our captain. He put me in fights he thought I could handle, and I handled them. I beat a Knight list. I beat a triple Keeper list. I beat an AdMech list, 2 Terminator-esque Dark Angel meta lists, which were shockingly very common there. We played against 3 of them total as a team. And then I finished off with a Space Wolf win. And overall, I felt prepared for all of them, and the units in my army perform well. So that's just to get you guys caught up and kick it over to Wyatt and Demeki so they can tell you who they played and what their challenges were.
Let's see. Yeah, so actually I remember our later matches better than my initial matches. But my hardest game was against Grey Knights. They were on that new decks. They got that list that's sort of sweeping the nation with 7 actionable infantry units, some infantry characters, then a couple of Grandmaster Dread Knights, or 1 Grandmaster and 1 regular one or whatever, right? And that one was pretty rough because of the mission on Sweep and Clear, having to take direct assault and stranglehold, because that's if you're running that type of army, that's a guaranteed 30, right? Because you're scoring 9 passively at the end of your turn. So unlike a lot of secondaries or the primary where you can't take things away and score on the same turn, most people are going to run those secondaries. And so that was my plan going into it. It was also the Grey Knight players' plan. So it was we're just going to have to do a lot of trading, and I hope I can win this attrition war. And then I made a pretty big mistake where I was confused about where the player battlefield edge was for that map. So it was not on the ends, it was on the sides. And that allowed him to walk a unit off of the board within 9 inches of a decimator and just steal an objective from me. And that hurt. That was that combined with, the attrition war that was already going on, let him take those points away from me and end up winning the game. So next time I'm going to remember that shit. I also had to play against Knights, and, Knights are, not necessarily a problem for me. So that went pretty well. I had to play against Custodes because there was a couple of rounds where on paper, I thought that sending Zach and his crazy 24 Penitent Engine Sisters Battle list into Custodes was the right move, because he's got so many more units. He's got more board control. He can do the fighting. He can do the shooting, right? Turns out that was not the case. He doesn't really hold up to Custodes, and with him not having as many reps in 9th edition, that was a hindrance. So in our last round, I took on Custodes and was able to pull that out. What else did I play? I played against Dark Angels 1 round because I felt that given the style of Dark Angels list he was playing, I hold up a little bit better to that than the Death Guard, especially because of him having rights of battle and OBSEC Terminators and things like that. It's just his whole army is basically OBSEC, and Kenny can't hold objectives. He can't win the primary with Defilers and PVCs when that dude's whole army is OBSEC. So I took that one, and that list was very similar to the list I actually played at Dallas Open when I played Dark Angels. So tough list, but I basically knew everything he was going to do before he did it, because I played that army. I played that list. So I was this is if it were me, I'd do that. And that's what he did almost every time. So I went into that. And yeah, other than the Grey Knight matchup, felt pretty good going into most of our matchups. What about you, Demeki? What did you have to deal with?
All right, so day 1, first round was AdMech. It was going, the game was going really well. I felt in my favor, if we would have gotten to through all 5 rounds, I think I could have pulled out the win on that one. But because it came down to time and we were only on round 3, he won by like 2 points. So
yeah.
That and you know, it was what it was. Kenny and I went and had a drink up in the room after that, came back down, and was ready for the next matchup. The next matchup was John Lennon's sisters list. It wasn't John Lennon, but it was his list. That one, it was another close round. That one we went to all 5 rounds, and it ended up being like I think 74-72 or something like that. 75-79. So another 4-point different game. And then the last match was a mirror match. So like, it was the choices that you gave me, I think they gave me were what, Admech and Drukhari.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to have one of the guys go up against the Drukhari list. So I decided to take the Drukhari list. And that ended up being a close match too. I made a couple of poor decisions, kind of like focusing too much on like one side of the table than like just focusing on my objectives. So, and it ended up costing me. That game ended up going 51-69. But day 2, that night we had an awesome steak dinner. It was delicious at STK. It put me back in the mindset. I went back to the room, thought about the matches, made some changes, said, okay, well, I'm going to change my secondaries up. Went in the next day and just went with that game plan. And the first match was Knights, which I was nervous about. I was super nervous about the Knights match. So like, when he picked me, I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to ignore the Castellan Knight, and then I'll just focus on.
Did he not realize that your Dark Technomancer +1 a wound?
I don't think he did. No. And I don't think he knew that I could choose between charging weapons. So every single time when I would charge my weapons, I would only charge the flamer and not charge the other, because it says any or all. So I would just
choice.
Yeah. So I would charge the flamer, and then like I would just shoot the other gun normally, because it really didn't matter.
It was a pretty wild game, because I was kind of checking back on you throughout it. It looked like you ended up like swapping table sides.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So like he started on this side, right? And I was over here, and it ended up we like switched. Right. Just because I was just running away from him, because I knew that like even in close combat, their stomp would have just annihilated anything. Mm-hmm. So I took out one of his big knights, because he only had two big knights. He had the Castellan, I forgot what the other one was, and then like I think 6 of the smaller ones. So like we went through that, and it was a close match. It was 73-69. I won that one. But like, I was so nervous about it, just because like I only played against Knights. That was my second time. And then my final 2 matches were both against Death Guard. And since I played Death Guard, I felt super comfortable in that matchup, because I knew what the army did. And the first match I crushed it 93-67. And then the last match, it was different, because like that was like 3 PBCs, 5 Mephitic Blight Haulers, and 2 floated boat drones, or no, 3 floated boat drones with flesh mowers. And then you had an Epidemus, 2 malignant plague casters, and
sounds like Don Houston style.
Yeah, like a Pox. What was the other HQ for Nurgle demons? The one. Yeah, Poxbringer. So he had that. So that was interesting to interact with. But I ended up winning that one 84-49.
Okay, I felt good about sending you into the Death Guard matchup.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You also played it. Anytime I could do that, that's kind of part of my thinking. Like I sent Mike into Sisters matchups twice. Mostly because like on paper, Grey Knights have a lot of things they can do to Sisters, and he has a lot of defensive capabilities in Sisters. And he also plays them, so I was like, he has knowledge of what they're doing. So a lot of my decision making was a lot like that, because like when I was thinking about matchups, right? Like we could talk lists like all day, right? Yeah. But I'm just going off of the players rather than the lists or the meta or on paper matchups most of the time, just because like, you know, 3 of our team like don't have the reps, right? Yeah. So I could tell you what the sisters list is, but you wouldn't have any like frame of reference for like what it does or how it plays or anything like that. So most of it was based on like your knowledge of the army and just like some on paper like gut checks.
Yep. Yeah, because I mean, even with the list that I took, I got 4 reps total in before I left to go to Vegas. And those 4 reps, like I fought a Eldar mix. It was Craft Worlds and Drakari mix, or no, Harlequins mixed. And like when I played against that, he had a ton of Harlequin bikes. So like I was like, well, I only got 4 vehicles, so have fun with that because the rest of it's infantry. And I did well against that. I played against the Deathwing Terminator blob, and I did well against that too. And then I played against Matt's Grey Knights on stream. And the third and final one was, I don't even remember. But yeah, I only got 4 reps in before we even went to Las Vegas, just because I was painting most of that army.
Yeah, I mean, you
tournaments
really stepped up on that.
Tournaments really do drive this hobby, man. Yeah. To see you pull that list out just from your last tournament experience, and then still get practice and still go 3-3. It's pretty fucking impressive, man. You know, and I mean that's some interesting insight, and it's I feel like a little left behind. Like in my matches, I felt like I was in control 100% of the time, always. Like there was never like there was barely dicey moments, and I was like thinking about like some of the things you guys just said, and I was like, and Demeki was like, you can lose games in deployment phase, and that's 100% like how I felt like that the practice I got. That's what it got me back in the mindset of. And with optimized terrain, there's another mini game of very balanced and procedural terrain placement. You get this many of the same type as they do, and you get to decorate your half of the table. They get to decorate their half of the table. Shit can't be within 4 or 6 inches based on piece from each other or board edges. So there's a limited amount of configurations that are possible. But with a little forethought, you can maximize your deployment. So I felt like I did that very well. And at first I wasn't sure because it was like a lot all at once. It was my first day doing it doing the rules. But I felt like I did it really well all 6 times. Like I was able to kind of think about like the advantages of this, which was in some matchups, just making sure that my Plague Burst Crawlers can be safe and I can alpha strike. Sometimes it was about making sure that my big defilers and shit had a place to walk. Simple things like that. So it was just like never having, oh man, I lost that game because I look at that fucking table. I can't even walk like my guys around. Like, so there was just none of that. That was huge. The other thing was I really spent a lot. Like if I was on a chess clock every game, which I was only at chess clock twice, you would see that the vast majority of my time was spent in deployment. Like sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it's super easy. Sometimes I was so ahead of the clock, it's ridiculous. Right? But sometimes those hard wins, like AdMech, right? That was not an easy game to win. And all the critical moments happened in the very first turn. And most of the critical moments happened in my deployment phase.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game was like probably like your shining moment in the tournament, because I don't think anybody else could have won that game. Because that was round 4 and we were coming off of 2 wins. So that was going to be like, we were in the higher team brackets, not at the top, but we were higher. So like, we're getting to some gangsters now. You know, and like Dark Tower, like they came to play, dude. Like even I saw Ultramarines and I was like, okay, so it's like Space Marine list. Like we didn't have a lot of time.
Didn't they win Renaissance Man too? Like highest battle points and highest painting score combined. That's all fucking, so like, they're amazing. JT, he had his like sick custom army with his, display board. And I think they said he's like in the top 10 for Hobby Track this season. So like, man, just killing it. Just crushing it out. They don't play games. Like, all right, they do, but like they're serious gangsters. Yeah. And so like, we did well, but, let's see, we lost that round. We did end up losing that round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like that was like they were playing hardball, man. But I was looking at their comp and I was like, the only person I think could go into this Mechanicum matchup is Kenny. Because with our list comp, like I just can't hang with that with my my list the way that it was. That
was the round that they had Harlequins too.
Yeah.
And I was hoping for that matchup for me. But like we ended up having to give it to Zach.
The thing is you can't always pick your matchups. That's another thing. Is like I think that also kind of frustrated Haspel sometimes. It's like you got to realize we're doing our best, but they're doing their best.
Yeah.
So we don't always get our matches straight up.
Yeah, and that's part of the whole team tournament thing. It's hard to be a captain because like you want your guys to have a good time, and sometimes having a good time is dependent on winning games. And I was like in every round, I was like, can I please like, do they have like a softball that I can throw to Haspel so that he can like, play a little catch up with getting some tournament experience? Because I was like, he's not bad at 40K. He's just like, he has no 9th edition experience.
The problem is too, is like, so if we put Haspel out, they get to counter him twice. And the only advantage he has is he can pick. So anytime you put Haspel in a situation, or any of us where we can pick, it's because we're being counterpicked.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like, you have to remember that, like,
and even if I put him as an attacker, they have the option of dodging.
You're being soft counterpicked or dodged. So the AdMech, I think you baited them, right? You were like, knew he would pick me.
Yeah.
Like, and so that was like, that's the strategy. The strategy is how to mitigate, how to get them to pick what you want. So you got him to get they chose the result you wanted. And that's not always easy to do, but it is hard to be a captain. And someone in the chat was asking how team tournaments work for single. It's in this capacity, it's singles, right? It's 5 single games. There's other ones where you pair off, it's doubles and stuff like that. But this is a team of guys following a set of rules. Can't repeat certain factions. You gotta have different codex entries and stuff like that. You gotta have a chaos space between codex and a Death Guard codex, right? You can't have multiple iterations of a Death Guard or chaos, right? But us 5 versus their 5, a certain set of procedures, coin flip-esque, to establish a matchup procedure to see who can jockey for the best matchups based on a huddle and a team strategy session. We go and play our 5 games. Whoever gets the most wins the round. Mm-hmm. Right? You need 3 wins to win the round. And so it's tough. It's almost, and I went really hard on like my performance earlier where I was like, so I went 6-0 and got 4th in the singles tracker. It's not the same thing as getting 6-0 and 4th in the singles tracker for playing singles, because I didn't play, Lennon and Siegler and stuff, right? But you could also go 0-6 quite easily if all the matches are being flubbed or you're getting counterpicked every time. If you don't have a good understanding of that, or your opponents have a better understanding of that, and you guys fall into their trap over and over again, you can quite easily get demolished.
Yeah. And then there's the term of, quote unquote, like falling on the sword, because in many instances, there's going to be one matchup that is just really bad for your team. So like in the instance of that round where we played the Dark Tower guys, the worst matchup for our team was AdMech. Because it's really hard to play against AdMech unless you're also playing a really meta Sisters of Battle list or a really meta Drukhari list, right? Or maybe even a really, really good new Grey Knights list. Because they have so many tools tailor-made for 9th edition. They have faction secondaries. Their book is brand new. They also have a Warzone book, adding more stuff to it, things like that, right? So just looking at it against the Dark Tower, there was 2 really bad matchups for us. One was Harlequins. The other one was AdMech. AdMech being like the more like kind of heavy hitter of the group, right? And so in that instance, I had to try to bait the AdMech into thinking that he got a good pick, right? Which was either going to be me or Kenny. But the only person I was sure of that could win that matchup was Kenny, right? And that's how it worked out. And so unfortunately, like sometimes like in that scenario, it was like I tried to give Mike a good matchup where he's playing against Codex Space Marines with his hot new Grey Knights, and I thought he could pull it out. And then the person falling on the sword was Zach against the Harlequins, because all of our armies had vehicle units that were somewhat integral to how they play, and they were just going to rip up vehicles no matter what, right? Yeah. And he told me before, and he's like, if you can, like, I don't want it. And I was like, noted, but also they have AdMech. So like he had to take it, right? And he was a really good sport about it. Like he really helped out the team a lot in that sense.
Yeah.
But exactly, you know, like I said earlier in the pre-show, it's like you could have the most beneficial pairings for all 5 of your dudes, and then it's still, you have to play the game.
There was another question in chat. So does the captain pick the matchups? It can be whatever you want as a team. Democratic, just a captain, whatever you want. You know, so I think Wyatt did 90% of it for us, but still asked the questions.
In the format, so for anybody listening who doesn't actually know, so you have a team of 5, captains meet up, they roll a dice. It's basically for who gets to pick tables first, right? From there, each captain picks a defender list, and they show them at the same time. So they're a blind pick, right? So let's just say that like our first pick is Kenny with Death Guard. So I say our first defender is Death Guard. And they say their first defender is Imperial Knights. Okay, cool. Then we go back and I'm like, Kenny, and then we put forward 2 attackers at the same time, right? So let's just say they put forward Drukhari and Sisters of Battle, and we put forward Drukhari and Grey Knights. That defender then gets to choose one of those lists. So if they put forward Drukhari and Sisters of Battle, I say, Kenny, who do you want to fight? Drukhari, Sisters of Battle. We might have a quick discussion, or maybe it's an easy choice. Like maybe they just put out something soft, and I'm just like, my boy's going to take that, right? And then we do that again until there are no more choices, and the last 2 guys left over just play each other, right?
Yes, and it's pretty easy on paper, but there's other things, right? So if I put out my guy, if we put out Wyatt and they put out Demeki, for example, those are out of the roster. There's no, if you saw that list before the match and you were like, yo, I'd love to counterpick that, give me that list. And the second they put it out first, they have taken that control from you. You are no longer able to get the matchup that you want. And they knew that. That's why they led with it. So the best you can do is put, 2 armies forward, the one you really wanted, praying that they would make a mistake and pick it, or somebody else. So it's almost like you're like, fuck, what do I do? So there's, and now you see the better teams, they're really good at that strategy. Right.
It's hard to get a really beneficial matchup if you're running specific things, which is why you see like the Art of War, and they're running like the 5 most meta armies in the edition right now, piloted by the 5 best players in the edition right now, right? Because you look at their armies, every one of them has faction secondaries for Knight. Every one of them has a relatively fresh, strong book for Knight, right? It's like Grey Knights, Drukhari, Sisters of Battle, AdMech, and I think they were in a Black Templars as their 5th one. Right?
Yeah, they were.
And so it's just hard. Like, so in that sense, if you're running something really meta, you have so many tools, like you can afford to be counterpicked. Now, our wild and crazy plan, like we talked about last week, is that all of our armies are a little wacky, a little skewed. And it didn't work out 3 out of the 6 games.
I was hoping for a 4-2 finish. We got a 3-3 finish. Still super happy with our performance as a team.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wyatt did a great job putting us where we needed to, and I think I think that maybe because the only times like that wasn't the right decision was in hindsight, where we all realized it, and then and you always made the adjustments, and so in the end, 22nd place as a team feels pretty good, man. And I think that we're just going to keep practicing as a unit, and anytime we go back and do any kind of trios or doubles or 5-man event in the future, I think we're just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, because I felt like we did really well too, especially as a team, because like most of our team, it was either their first tournament, a big tournament of 9th, or it was their second, right? So like
my first tournament, Haspel's first tournament, your second tournament, like I think what was and Zach's second.
Yeah.
Literally the whole team, besides Wyatt.
And like most people, like their teammates, right, are probably in the same area where we're completely spread out, right? So like
so they could like scrim and
so they could scrim and stuff, and like the only way that we could ever get practice in is either at local leagues or on Dice Check, whatever.
Go to an RTT or something like that. It's just different. Like doing the team setup is like substantially harder than one-on-one stuff. And I mean, like, we talked about this on Chapter Tactics yesterday, dude. Like, if you show up with all 5 people in your team that you wanted to be there, like, you deserve an award because it's hard.
Yep.
It's a humongous commitment. One that is just ultimate end of the rainbow joy in this crazy hobby that we're a part of. You know, strongly encourage everybody at all times to always be prepared for a convention or a GT or something like that. Should always, in my opinion, be your goal. Don't have an aversion to it, because it's like we were saying it when we were there. We're sitting there between rounds, just aisles back as far as you can see. Everyone's armies, everyone having a lunch break. It's just like painted, because it's battle ready conditions. Battle ready is above 3-color minimum. So even people who are like, yo, this is the minimum battle ready army. And I played against one, and it was all my Deathwing were painted with bone white, dry brush with white, details quickly picked out, everything washed with like Earthshade on a nice clean base. All my Ravenwing stuff primed all black, painted all the wings and stuff, as cleanly as I could white, painted some of the emblems, put them on a clean ass base. That's literally like, looks good. Like, so that's the lowest tier that you're going to see. And then you're going to play against like Dark Tower, and every one of those guys has a sick ass display board, multi-tiered, hobby tracking, and slam dunking and winning. Like, so you're never going to see more painted armies as far as the eye can see, and people playing the game, because it is a game. And then like use Demeki as an example, right? Plays Death Guard, gets raffle stomped by 9 Chronos. Says, this Chronos army is like, just speaks to my soul. Goes out and fucking buys all the models, gets it all fucking done, gets it all curated, assembled, painted nicely.
And got reps in. Yeah.
All for this pot at the end of the rainbow. Mm-hmm. Driving forward in the hobby. Like, it's honestly like anybody who has like heard a horror story and doesn't want to go, like, I don't know about that shit. It's like, man, I just wish I could share with you the feelings I get when I'm there. Like, I wish like we can, somehow do that. Like we could have like a wireless transfer of emotions. Cause it's like, man, I feel bad that you don't get to have it. Cause I've done what you do. I've done what a casual player does. I've done what a Friday night beer principal. I started there. I'd have those emotions. I know what they are. They're great. They're amazing.
I have to say, getting ready for this tournament like re-energized me back into the painting part of the hobby. Like, I love painting. It's relaxing. It takes my mind off stuff. It's the only time I actually focus on something that I'm doing, because I have ADD like crazy. But like, I think I kind of felt like I was getting stale, because like, every single time I'm trying to get something done is for Dice Check. And like, I was starting to lose the me factor of it. Right. Like, I wasn't doing it for me, and feeling good about it, So like, getting ready for the tournament, I was getting more hype, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to have these boys painted up. They're going to look good. And I get to hang out with the guys and have a beer and just talk Warhammer and all that other stuff. Like, it just reawoken my passion for the game.
I definitely feel you on that, dude. Like, I'm very goal oriented, and Kenny and I have talked about this a couple of times. Like, you might get to a point with your army where it's just like, it's just working. You're just winning games. And then like, you kind of get the withdrawals of like, list crafting and scheming and like painting up new units.
Project completion high,
Yeah. And so it's like, you get stagnant. So it's nice to go to this event, right? Because I had a similar list at Lone Star. I got 8th place there. realized I needed to make some changes, made those changes, tested it out, won a couple of tournaments, small level with that, go into this and just knock it out. But I realized through doing this at basically a super major,
because you were kind of getting stagnant. You were feeling that feeling. You're like, oh man, it's already perfect. The list is perfect. And then now you're like, it's not perfect. This is even better.
It's not. It could be better. Like I could do this and it's better. And then also ironically, like since our armies got like riggedy wrecked because somebody walked into our cart, it actually just gives me a reason to like paint stuff, like do some hobbying on this army that I was like kind of bored with. So like I'm making a bunch of new models and getting those ready for SoCal Open next month. So it's like,
in full disclosure, not some like, 40K gamer, like some rando in the casino who doesn't give a shit about miniatures, like because of like a regular
ass slid out in front of me like right at the last second. It is just a complete accident. It was like an intentional thing. Like
nothing. I mean, no one would intentionally flip somebody's models on the ground. That's like,
it's Vegas. Well, it's possible. It's Vegas, dude.
I guess that's true. But that's a good talk. We've put in an hour, and I have to remember that we still have Rob's segment to slice in. So it's going to be a giant-sized edition of the podcast.
Yeah, a Vegas-sized edition.
Vegas-sized edition. We did go deep on some other cool subjects in the after hours. As a reminder, you can check that out now on Patreon, but the redirect still works, which is longwar.net. So as Rob would say, become a veteran of the Long War today. And thanks for jumping into the show at last minute and saving this podcast to Mickey.
Oh, no problem. Anytime y'all need me, I'm just a shout out away.